Understandable English podcast.
Learn English the easy way.
I need to tell you something completely humiliating that happened to me at work yesterday. And honestly, I am still vibrating from the sheer embarrassment of it all. I officially have no filter when I get nervous.
Oh boy. Welcome back to the Understandable English podcast, everyone, where we listen to Bryan desperately try to survive normal social situations. What did you do this time, Bryan? Did you accidentally tell a stranger you love them?
Worse. Way worse, Jessica. I got trapped in an elevator with our big boss, the regional director, Mr. Davis. You know him. He always wears those incredibly expensive gray suits and looks like he never smiles. He's very intimidating.
Ah, yes. The man who looks like he owns a small island. Elevator rides with bosses are classic territory for total awkwardness. But usually, you just nod, say something about the weather, and wait for the doors to open. It's a simple formula.
Yes. That was the plan. I had a clear plan. I walked into the elevator on the ground floor, the heavy metal doors slid shut, and suddenly the silence became completely deafening. It was just the two of us. My brain instantly went into full panic mode. I couldn't help it.
Let me guess. You couldn't handle the quiet, so your mouth started moving completely on its own before your brain could even process what was happening.
It was like my mind completely unplugged from reality. Instead of saying something normal like, "Good morning, sir," I looked at him, cleared my throat, and enthusiastically asked him if he knew that pigeons were originally imported as a luxury food source for European royalty.
Wait, you talked about pigeons to the regional director? In an elevator?
For 4 straight minutes, Jessica. 4 minutes. The elevator stopped at 3 different floors to drop off packages, so it felt like an eternity. And the whole time, I just couldn't shut up. I told him about how they can find their way home using magnetic fields. I even explained how they feed their babies something called crop milk. I was gesturing wildly with my hands, and my voice was way too loud for that tiny metal box.
Please tell me he at least said something back. Did he look at you like you were insane, or did he actually engage in the pigeon discourse?
He just stared at the metallic elevator numbers changing. 4, 5, 6. He didn't move a muscle, he didn't even blink. He just held his leather briefcase tightly, and I could see his jaw clenching. Every time I tried to stop talking, the silence felt so heavy that I would just panic again and share another random bird fact. By the time we hit the 9th floor, I was explaining how pigeons can recognize human faces.
That is magnificent. You didn't just break the ice, you completely smashed it with a hammer made of completely useless bird trivia. The relief of exiting that elevator must have been incredible.
Oh, when those doors finally opened on my floor, I practically stumbled out into the hallway. I didn't look back. I just walked straight to my desk, sat down, and hid behind my computer screen for the next 3 hours. I am pretty sure he thinks I am completely unhinged. Why is small talk so weirdly stressful? Why can't we just stand in a moving box for 60 seconds without losing our minds?
It's because we think we always need to fill the space. We feel this intense pressure to seem polite, friendly, and professional all at the same time. If you are listening to us right now on the Understandable English podcast, and you have also completely ruined a simple interaction because you panicked, please let us know in the comments. Tell us the weirdest thing you've ever said to a boss or a stranger just to avoid a quiet moment. It really helps the channel grow when you comment, and honestly, it will make Bryan feel much better about his pigeon monologue.
Yes, please leave a comment, because right now I feel like the loneliest weirdo on the planet. But seriously, Jessica, you always seem so incredibly comfortable with silence. If you were trapped in that elevator, you wouldn't have started rambling about city birds, would you?
Absolutely not. I actually embrace the quiet. I think silence is beautiful, especially in elevators. But I do have a personal confession to make about small talk. I used to find it incredibly draining when I had to meet new people at networking events or parties. It used to give me so much anxiety.
Really? You? But you always look so calm and collected. You have that perfectly steady vibe.
It's an illusion, Bryan. Inside, I used to struggle just as much as you. A few years ago, I went to this big holiday party for work. I didn't know many people there, and I ended up standing near the snack table next to a guy from the accounting department. We both just stood there, holding our little plastic cups of punch, staring at a plate of tiny sausages.
Ah, the classic snack table trap. That is the ultimate test of human social skills. Did you comment on the quality of the sausages?
I tried the standard route first. I looked at him and said, "Wow, it's really coming down out there tonight, huh?" Because it was raining outside. It was a classic weather conversation. And he just looked out the window, sighed, and said, "Yeah, my gutters are probably overflowing." And then the conversation completely died. It was so incredibly awkward. We just stood there in absolute silence for 2 full minutes, listening to the holiday music playing softly in the background. I felt so uncomfortable.
See? It's awful. That silence makes your chest feel tight. So, how did you survive? Did you run away to the bathroom?
I almost did, but right then, I decided I couldn't take the awkwardness anymore. I didn't want to talk about the weather, and I didn't want to talk about gutters. So, I turned to him, took a deep breath, and asked my now famous question. I said, "Hey, forget about the rain. What's the best thing you ate this week?"
What's the best thing you ate this week? That's your big secret weapon?
It is a bulletproof formula, Bryan. I am telling you, it works every single time. The moment I asked him that, his entire face completely lit up. His eyes got wide, he smiled, and he immediately started telling me about this tiny, hidden Italian restaurant downtown that makes homemade gnocchi with truffle sauce. He talked with so much passion. We ended up talking about food for 20 minutes.
Wow, that is actually brilliant. Because everyone eats and almost everyone loves talking about good food. It completely skips the boring part of small talk and goes straight to something people care about.
Exactly. It completely changes the energy of the room. Since that night, I use that exact question whenever I feel a conversation starting to fade. It instantly kills any awkward silence because it forces the other person to remember a happy, delicious moment from their week. They don't have to think about their job, or the traffic, or their overflowing gutters. They just think about tacos or pasta or a really great slice of cake.
I love that. It's so simple, but it completely changes the dynamic. You are not just asking a polite question, you are actually inviting them to share a little bit of joy.
Precisely, and it saves me from having to invent fake opinions about the local sports team or the humidity levels.
Man, I wish I had used that formula yesterday. If I had asked Mr. Davis what the best thing he ate this week was, he might have told me about some incredible steakhouse, and we could have bonded over medium-rare ribeye. Instead, he now knows that baby pigeons drink milk from their parents' throats. I really messed up.
Well, look at the bright side. If he ever needs to survive in the wilderness, he now knows that pigeons are a historical delicacy. You might have saved his life in a very specific, strange way.
I don't think he sees it that way, Jessica. I think he sees me as a potential security risk. But this whole thing really makes me think about how much pressure we put on ourselves during these tiny interactions. We're so afraid of being judged that we completely overcompensate.
We really do. We treat small talk like it's a high-stakes exam that we have to pass. But in reality, most people are just as nervous as we are. They are also sitting there thinking, "Oh no, what should I say next?" When you realize that everyone is slightly uncomfortable, it helps you let go of that intense anxiety.
That's a really deep point. It's about confidence, really. If you are confident enough to just let the silence exist for a moment, or if you are confident enough to ask a slightly unusual question, like your food question, like the interaction becomes so much more human. It stops being a chore and starts being a real connection.
Absolutely. And it's a habit you can build. You don't have to become a master storyteller overnight. You just have to learn to slow down, take a breath, and let the conversation breathe a little bit. Your mouth doesn't need to run at maximum speed to keep the world turning.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue is just that initial panic response. My brain treats silence like an emergency. I need to train myself to see silence as a pause, not a failure.
It is definitely just a pause. And honestly, it's a perfect transition for us right now. Since we are talking about real communication, we should take a look at some of the phrases we naturally use today during our stories. We use some really common, everyday expressions that are perfect for our listeners to practice.
Oh, definitely. Let's do a little review of the language because I used some phrases that perfectly describe my complete lack of social control. For example, right at the start, I said that when I get nervous, I officially have no filter.
Yes, to have no filter. This is a very popular phrase in modern spoken English. A filter on a camera or a coffee machine cleans things or blocks things. So, if a person has no filter, it means they say exactly what they are thinking without checking if it is appropriate, polite, or necessary. They just speak immediately.
That is me. 100%. I have no filter when my anxiety hits. And because of that, my mouth started moving on its own, and I said the quiet in the elevator became completely deafening.
This is a beautiful contradiction. Completely deafening silence. Deafening usually means a sound is so incredibly loud that it makes your ears hurt, like a rock concert or a jet engine. But when we say a silence is deafening, it means the quiet feels so heavy, uncomfortable, and intense that it dominates the entire room. It makes you feel very self-conscious.
It really does. It feels like the silence is screaming at you to say something. And because it was screaming, I started rambling about birds, and I said that the relief of exiting that elevator was incredible.
The relief of doing something. Relief is that warm, pleasant feeling you get when something difficult, painful, or stressful finally stops or ends. For example, when you finally finish a huge exam at university, or when you find your lost wallet in your jacket pocket, you feel a massive wave of relief.
I felt a massive wave of relief when those metal doors opened, believe me. But then, when you told your story about the awkward accountant, you said your standard question failed, and the conversation started to fade.
To fade. In this context, when a conversation fades, it means it slowly loses energy, becomes quieter, and eventually stops completely. It doesn't end sharply, it just disappears like a light getting dimmer and dimmer. The words dry up, and you are left with that deafening silence again.
And to fix that fading conversation, you brought out your secret weapon, and you said that your question completely lit up his face. Or rather, his face completely lit up.
Yes, to light up. When a person's face or eyes light up, it means they suddenly look incredibly happy, excited, or enthusiastic about something. It's like a light switch was turned on inside them. If you give a child a giant piece of chocolate cake, their face will instantly light up.
And finally, you said that your question about food is great because it completely skips the boring part and helps you bond with people.
To bond with someone. This means to develop a close connection, a friendship, or a feeling of mutual understanding with another person. You can bond over a shared hobby, like music or sports, or you can bond over a mutual experience. Or, as I discovered, you can easily bond with someone over a great meal.
Well, I didn't bond with my boss over pigeons, that's for sure. But I am definitely going to practice using your food question next time. I will try to let the conversation breathe, keep my filter turned on, and hopefully I won't have any more elevator disasters this year.
I think that is a wonderful goal, Bryan. Just remember to take a deep breath before you open your mouth next time you see Mr. Davis.
I will. I promise. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Understandable English podcast, everyone. We hope these phrases help you feel more confident in your own everyday English conversations.
Yes, thank you for hanging out with us today. Don't be afraid of a little silence this week. Practice your English at your own pace and have a wonderful, stress-free day. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, guys. See you in the next one. I really tried to have no filter and bond with the cashier today during a completely deafening silence. But my face didn't light up, and I couldn't find the relief of exiting the store because the conversation started to fade into another pigeon fact.
Bryan, please, I am begging you to stop talking about the birds.